This is my 1998 Toyota Glanza S, and today it caught fire, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened. But first, a quick walk around the car. So this is an EP91 Jap import. It's got a 1.3 4 EFE, so it's the non-turbo engine with a 5-speed manual gearbox. So let's pop the hood here and show you what's going on. So the car had been sitting up for a while. We went to start it over the Christmas. Yeah, the car didn't really want to crank. I chalked it down to cold weather, rundown battery, but once we got it started there was bad belt squeal, and I'm going to show you an example of what was happening now. I can already smell the smoke. That's not moving down there. Yeah, we gotta shut her off. But I'll let you hear it squeal.
There we go. Lovely, lovely. Smoke. Obviously there's a fair bit of choking you have to go through, but look at the result.
So the belt squeal and the smoke that already started after running it for 10 seconds that you just saw in the last clip, what I'm thinking, the water pump is completely locked up and the crank pulley is obviously dragging the belt across it, causing massive friction, and then that started a fire. So we won't be starting it anymore. We're going to roll it into the workshop, get it up on the lift, diagnose the issue fully, and then get it sorted and hopefully get this back on the road. So let's start with an unboxing. In here we should have our new auxiliary belt, because the last one has been chewed up, I imagine. We have our new water pump here, and we should have our water pump gasket. And there we are, nice metal finned water pump that should last probably the rest of the life of this engine, to be honest.
So in here is our water pump. So we need to somehow get that out. The engine bracket is in the way. There it is down there. How do we get it out? One thing for sure, remove the negative terminal of the battery connection. When draining coolant, also pop off your radiator cap. Yeah. Okay, so first things first, we got to take off all the plastic underneath the car here. So, let's go. What we're trying to get is up here. This is what's stuck. Next step, we got to drain the radiator of coolant, and I think here is our plug. So this bolt up here is our tensioner bolt. We're going to loosen that, take this outer belt off so we can get to this inner belt. Actually, we don't need to take off that belt because if we loosen the bolt that you're looking at right there, the alternator will pull forward, give me enough slack to pull that off. So let's try that. Okay, here's the deal. So we did that bolt on top. We loosened this bottom bolt here slightly so it pivots. Then we took a hammer up through here some light taps on the alternator and you can see it moved up. That belt now has loads of slack, so let's pull it off.
What else is electrical in here?
Not the exhaust manifold.
I've done the fuse box, if that's what that is. Is that
That's an air.
Oh my god, I'm just realising we do need to take the outer belt off. Because how are we going to get that one off? I guess we could cut it, but how are we getting the new one on? Back down we go. Okay, so yeah, we loosen this tensioner bolt here. That will put the slack on this one. Then we can take that one off, get that one off, so we don't need to go back down. Okay, so after loosening the tensioner bolt, this is fairly stuck because it hasn't moved in a long time. So I used a long bolt and a hammer, put it onto here, hit it a few taps, and now it's finally loose. Okay, so we got that belt off, which means now we can get this inner belt off. Wow, look how chewed up the belt is from rubbing off. Look at the state of that. Okay, so now that we have that belt off, we can leave this one as it is. So that went around our power steering pump here and it went on the inside of our crank pulley. So I thought our water pump was the issue. This is our water pump. It does spin freely. This is our alternator. Our alternator is completely locked up. So it's a good idea to do the
Water pump.
while we're here, but the alternator is toast. Okay, so just popped this cap off the focus there. Now we're gonna unbolt that, go into the power or the whatever that is, alternator. Okay, we just pulled this cable off from here. Now we need to try disconnect this one. How do you come off? Okay, got this plug disconnected now as well. So that was the two plugs. Now we just need to take this bolt out and alternator should come off. And there we have it. One really bad alternator. Locked. There's our water pump. Okay, so we've got a replacement alternator that spins freely, and this one is obviously still locked up, but this one is a lot bigger.
So you can see the replacement alternator on the right is a lot bigger than the one on the left, but the mounting points look like they line up, so it should be okay. We'll see.
Okay, so now that we've got a replacement alternator, let's just continue and get the water pump out. So we're going to undo these bolts. So we can see from the new water pump there should be 5 bolts, so let's get them out. Okay, so the new problem is we've got 5 bolts, we've got 4 out. The one on the other side of that is just impossible to get to. I thought if we dropped the car we could get it from the top if we remove the engine bracket, the engine mount, and then hold the engine up, but it's just not possible. So we're gonna try remove the dipstick, then remove the bolts around that. Okay, so to remove the dipstick tube, we had this bracket here was mounted to this, and this other end was holding the tensioner for the
alternator.
But now we can pull this out.
So that's the only bracket holding the dipstick tube, so now we just need to pull it out.
Okay, so let's pull out this dipstick tube. Okay. This bolt, and this bolt. Then we're going to take this bolt. Then this whole piece should come off.
So we got the water pump off. Now this is a quick look inside the cooling system where the water pump bolts onto, and not terrible actually. I thought like maybe from sitting it would be corroded, clogged with stuff. No, it's pretty clean.
We have our old water pump, we have our new water pump. Honestly, the old water pump was not that bad. It did spin, but we will be obviously replacing it. New seal. Okay, got the first two bolts in, a few more bolts, we're going to do them all around, get them done. Okay, so that is the new water pump installed now. We need to bolt these three bolts, push this back on up to here, then bolt that back down over there, then we'll put a new O-ring on this, put that back in, should be good. My fingers are so cold, I can't even feel them. Okay, so we got that bolt in there. Focus. We got that tightened up. We got this bolt, the bolt behind that, this one, and we got the one up here tightened up. We obviously got all the bolts on the new water pump tightened up with its new gasket. Then we put the dipstick tube back in its hole. Okay, so now we're going to put this bracket, this bolt, back up here. Okay. Dipstick tube back in, top alternator bracket back on, water pump in, so, and then all the bolts are back on here. Now belts and alternator. Dipstick tube back in.
I think I've just found what caused our alternator to lock up. Why is this wire cut?
This is the worst!
Okay, there we go. It's cut there, so there should be 3 cables, and it's tied out of the way.
Okay, so the thing is, on this alternator you have your thick white wire, which is the B+. That's the main output from the alternator, and it goes directly to the battery through the fuse box, and it carries the charging current. Then we have a 3-pin plug. The 3-pin plug should have a red, a yellow, and a white wire. The red wire is your ignition 12-volt key on, so when you turn the key on, that's what turns on the alternator, it wakes it up. Your yellow wire is your charge warning lamp, so it's the battery light that'll throw up on your dashboard if you have a problem. Then it's your white wire. This is the voltage sense wire, which is very important. This is what's cut on ours. The sense wire lets the alternator measure battery voltage. It tells the internal voltage regulator of the alternator, this is the battery voltage, adjust charging accordingly. And with that cut, it won't regulate battery voltage properly, so it can send a higher voltage to the battery, like, you know, upwards of 18 volts. This can boil the battery, blow bulbs, damage ECU, or like cause other electrical issues, or it will undercharge, the battery will go flat. But what can also happen is, because it doesn't know the battery voltage, the alternator can be running at 100% all the time, which can lead to the alternator overheating and burning out and then seizing up. And that might just be what caused our problem to start with.
Okay, so we got that heat shrinked on up there, and now we're gonna fit in this. Okay, it was a lot harder to get back in, but obviously this is a different one. It's slightly bigger, but it should line up. And then the pulley of it, which is here, looks like it should line up with the water pump and the lower side of the crank pulley. Here's to hoping that this goes in. Come on. So with a little bit of wiggle around, we got that lower bolt on just to hold it in place. We got this cable bolted back on, and we can connect this to here. So as you can see, that there, it's not lining up to go on. And what could be the cause of that? I don't know. It's right there. It's definitely a problem. You can now see the issue. However wide that is, that down there is fatter. So this one is 15.8 mil, and for this one, let's check. Now, I don't know how well you can see it, but roughly, I know it's not centered, and I know the thing is dying, but it says 1.8. Okay, here's what we're going to try to do to fix that. So our options are get a different alternator, which I don't really like the thoughts of, create a new bracket, bend out that bracket, which I don't like the sound of either, or remove this bolt, make it longer, and extend with washers, extend the bracket out here, which is what we're going to do. So we got the bracket out. Now here's the deal. We need a longer bolt and some spacers, so this will step out a little bit. Okay, so this is the original bolt, which is 24.5 mil. Replacement bolt we got is 30 mil long, so that's good. Now we got some thick spacers. Each spacer is 3.6 mil, so we do 2 of these spacers. It's coming out to about 7.5 mil. So now we pop that onto here. Let's do this way. So now, as you can see, we have a spacer here which pushes this out perfectly to here. Here we go. Okay, so here's the next issue. So this belt is the old one, and it is a 4PK 823. This new one is a 4PK 915, which means this is a longer belt than that one. Now, what I'm hoping is this was a smaller alternator, so maybe the longer belt is needed, and we can adjust the alternator. So right now, let's push it up fully, okay? Now let's try put the belt on and see how much slack we have. Here is a better realization of how much longer the belt is. So same here, go down, it's quite a bit longer here. So let's try. Well, if I'm correct, the inner belt just went over the inner crank pulley, up over the water pump, and then over the alternator. Now, this alternator, as we said, can adjust, but this is pulled down fully, which will be extending it fully, and look at the crazy slack we have. Yeah, insane. So, the thing is, the old belt is not that old. Okay, I mean, it's not perfect. Let's just try it. Now that made a big difference. So the shorter belt on, we have it going over our water pump, our crank pulley, and our alternator. And now, if we extend our alternator, yeah, now, let's pull it down as good as we can. Now that is tight. So, we'll tighten up the alternator. Alright, so we tighten the bottom bracket. Okay, our next pulley belt going back on is going on the outer crank pulley. Then I'm pretty sure this is the AC, and then up there is our power steering, so whoosh. Okay, that is the next belt on. Now we need to tighten that one by pushing on the power steering adjuster up there. Come on, focus, focus, focus. There we go. Okay, now let's tighten this up. Okay, so that is now tightened up, and we got good tension on both belts. So now that's the alternator back on there. The water pump, if you can see it, let's see, new water pump, replacement alternator, wiring is sorted, more or less. Right. Oil is actually not that bad. It's got a honey look to it. But while we're doing a job, we might as well replace it anyway. Yeah. Click. That'll do. So, clean it. Where are you? Focus. It's full.
Honestly, all that was left to do here was put on the negative terminal of the battery and then crank the car, and hopefully it would have started and been fine. And as soon as we put on the negative terminal of the battery, within seconds the fuse box caught fire. So we're going to have to figure out what happened there in another video. But thanks for watching this video. If you liked the video, please leave a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.